The afternoon sun beat down on the village of Igbine, a throbbing heart in the heartland of the EGBA people. The sun's rays, relentless and unyielding, cast long shadows over the thatched roofs and dusty paths, painting a picture of resilience and endurance. Women, their brows creased with worry, tended to small fires, their clay pots simmering with meagre meals. Their hands moved with practiced precision, yet their eyes betrayed the weight of their burdens. Each meal, a testament to their strength, was a small victory against the encroaching despair. Children, their bellies often empty, kicked at the dust, their laughter laced with a familiar hunger. Their games, though spirited, were tinged with a sense of longing. They played not just for joy, but to momentarily escape the gnawing emptiness that accompanied their days. The air hung heavy, not just with the heat, but with a palpable sense of unease. It was as if the very atmosphere was thick with the collective anxieties of the villagers, each breath a reminder of their precarious existence. Life had always been a struggle, a dance with the elements, a negotiation with the spirits. The EGBA people, deeply connected to their land and traditions, found solace in their rituals and customs, yet even these sacred practices seemed overshadowed by the looming threats. But under the yoke of the Oyo Empire, the EGBA people found themselves teetering on the precipice of despair. The once vibrant community, known for its resilience and unity, now faced an uncertain future, their spirits weighed down by the relentless demands of their oppressors. Their once proud spirit, now burdened by heavy tributes and the constant threat of Oyo wrath, seemed to dim with each passing day. The villagers who once walked with heads held high now moved with a subdued air, their pride eroded by the relentless pressures. The drums, once vibrant with the rhythm of life, now only whispered mournful tunes, their echoes swallowed by the heavy silence of subjugation. These drums, which had once been the heartbeat of the village, now served as a somber reminder of their plight. Each sunrise brought with it the fear of Oyo tax collectors, their arrival heralded by the ominous thudding of hooves against the parched earth. The villagers braced themselves for the inevitable demands, their hearts heavy with dread. Each sunset amplified the whispers of rebellion, desperate murmurs of defiance that dared not be spoken aloud. In the cover of darkness, plans were whispered, hopes were kindled, and the seeds of resistance were sown. The village of Igbine, like the rest of the EGBA nation, yearned for a hero, a beacon of hope in their darkening world. They looked to the horizon, hoping for a savior who would lead them out of their suffering and restore their lost glory.
We are weary, our spirits burdened. The weight of our struggles has etched lines of sorrow on our faces, and our hearts ache with the longing for freedom. When will our suffering end? We hold on to hope, even in the darkest of times, believing that one day our resilience will be rewarded and our spirits will soar once more.
A cloud of dust rose on the horizon, growing larger, more menacing with each passing moment. The playful shouts of children died in their throats, replaced by a tense silence that blanketed the village. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath, anticipating the storm that was about to break. The Oyo warriors had arrived. Adorned with battle scars and the arrogance of power, they rode into Igbine like conquerors claiming their due. Their horses, powerful and sleek, snorted disdainfully at the humble dwellings of the villagers. The glint of sunlight on their spears sent shivers down the spines of onlookers, a stark reminder of the Empire's iron grip on their lives. The leader, a towering figure with eyes as cold and hard as obsidian, dismounted, his gaze sweeping over the assembled villagers with disdainful ease. His voice, when he spoke, was a gravelly rasp, accustomed to unquestioned command.
The tribute.
Fear, potent and paralyzing, gripped the hearts of the villagers. It was a fear that seeped into their bones, a fear that dictated their every move, every decision. The once vibrant community now moved like shadows, their spirits dampened by the ever-present threat of the Oyo Empire. Heads bowed in submission, they relinquished their hard-earned produce, their meager possessions, to the insatiable maw of the Oyo Empire. Each stolen yam, each confiscated chicken, was a fresh wound on the soul of the EGBA people. The villagers' eyes, once filled with hope and dreams, now reflected only despair and resignation. The weight of oppression was heavy, and it was felt in every corner of the village. The children who once played with abandon now clung to their mothers, their laughter silenced. The elders who once shared stories of bravery and valor now spoke in hushed tones, their voices tinged with sorrow. Among the crowd, a young man clenched his fists, his gaze fixed on the ground, his jaw set in silent fury. He was tired of the oppression, tired of the fear that clung to his people like a shroud. His heart ached for the days when the EGBA people could walk with their heads held high, free from the chains of subjugation. He was tired of the oppression, tired of the fear that clung to his people like a shroud. The young man, though silent, was a storm waiting to be unleashed. He longed for the day when the EGBA people would rise again, their voices united in a roar that would shake the very foundations of the Oyo Empire. He longed for the day when the EGBA people would rise again, their voices united in a roar that would shake the very foundations of the Oyo Empire. He envisioned a future where the EGBA would reclaim their land, their dignity and their freedom. A future where the children could laugh again, where the elders could share stories of triumph and resilience. That young man was Lisabi, the blacksmith's son. Known for his strength and skill, Lisabi was more than just a craftsman. He was a beacon of hope, a symbol of resistance. His hands, which forged tools and weapons, also held the dreams of an entire community. Unknown to the Oyo warriors, unknown even to most of his own people, a fire burned within him, a fire that whispered of rebellion, of freedom, of a future where the EGBA people would determine their own destiny. This fire was not just a spark, it was an inferno, ready to consume the chains of oppression and light the path to liberation.
We will rise. The words echoed in the hearts of the villagers, a promise, a vow. It was a declaration of their unyielding spirit, a testament to their resilience. One day, we will be free. The dream of freedom was no longer a distant hope. It was a tangible goal, a future that Lisabi and his people were determined to achieve. Together, they would forge a new destiny, one where the EGBA people would stand tall and proud, free from the shadows of the past.
Lisabi was no stranger to hardship. He had spent his youth in the forge, his muscles honed by the rhythmic clang of hammer against metal. He had learned the language of fire, the art of shaping raw materials into objects of strength and beauty. But it was his spirit forged in the crucible of oppression that truly set him apart. He had witnessed firsthand the suffering of his people, the despair that etched lines on their faces, the fear that haunted their dreams. He had seen the Oyo warriors ride roughshod over their lives, leaving behind a trail of broken spirits and shattered dreams. He knew in his heart that the time for submission was over.
I will no longer stand idly by while my people are crushed under the heel of tyranny. I will fight for our freedom, even if it means standing alone.
Under the cover of darkness, Lisabi moved through the village, his footsteps silent, his purpose unwavering. The night was his ally, cloaking his movements in shadows as he navigated the familiar paths with the precision of a seasoned warrior. Each step he took was a step towards a future he envisioned, a future free from the chains of oppression. He sought out the bravest, the most trusted, the most desperate of his kinsmen. These were men who had seen their lands ravaged, their families torn apart, and their spirits tested by the relentless grip of the Oyo Empire. Lisabi knew that only those with the strongest resolve could stand with him in the face of such overwhelming odds. To each, he whispered the same message. His voice, though soft, carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken words, a call to arms that resonated deeply within their hearts. It was a message of hope, of defiance, and of a future where their children could live without fear.
Meet me at the edge of the forest, beneath the old baobab tree, when the moon is full. This ancient tree, a silent witness to generations of their people, would now stand as the gathering point for their resistance. It was a place of power, of history, and now of rebellion.
His words, imbued with a quiet intensity, were met with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The men listened, their faces a canvas of emotions, each one grappling with the enormity of what was being asked of them. They knew the risks, but they also knew the cost of inaction. The spirit of resistance, though deeply buried, still flickered within the hearts of the EGBA people. It was a flame that had been dimmed but never extinguished, a testament to their enduring strength and resilience. This was their chance to rekindle that flame, to let it burn brightly once more. But fear, instilled by years of oppression, cast a long shadow. The Oyo Empire's reach was vast, and its retribution swift and brutal. The memories of past punishments loomed large, a constant reminder of the price of defiance. Some dismissed him as a dreamer, a fool who dared to challenge the might of the Oyo Empire. They saw his vision as a dangerous fantasy, one that could bring even greater suffering upon their people. Their skepticism was born of survival, a defense mechanism against the harsh realities they faced daily. Others, their spirits crushed by years of subjugation, could not fathom the possibility of defiance. They had been beaten down for so long that the very idea of resistance seemed like an impossible dream. Their eyes, once bright with hope, now reflected only the dull acceptance of their fate. But there were a few, their eyes hardened by hardship, their souls ignited by a flicker of hope, who listened with rapt attention. These were the ones who had not yet given up, who still believed in the possibility of change. They were ready to stand with Lisabi, to fight for their freedom no matter the cost. Their determination was a beacon in the darkness, a sign that the spirit of the EGBA people was far from broken.
Lisabi, you speak of dangerous things. The Oyo Empire is vast, its warriors are many, and their thirst for power is insatiable. What hope do we have against such a force?
Hope is all we have left, brother. Hope and the courage to fight for our freedom. We may be outmatched in numbers, but we are not outmatched in spirit. The Oyo Empire may have taken our land, our possessions, but they will never take our will to be free.
His words, spoken with such conviction, sparked a flicker of defiance in the eyes of the men gathered around him. But doubt, like a persistent weed, still choked the seeds of rebellion. Could they, a small band of villagers, truly hope to stand against the might of the Oyo Empire?
The Oyo Empire is not invincible. They are flesh and blood just like us. They bleed, they fear, they can be defeated, but we must stand together as one people united in our purpose.
He spoke of the injustices they had suffered, the humiliation they had endured, the future that was being stolen from their children. He reminded them of their proud heritage, their ancestors who had fought valiantly against countless enemies. And slowly, as the moon climbed higher in the sky, casting its pale light upon their faces, a glimmer of hope began to dawn in the eyes of the men. Perhaps, just perhaps, this blacksmith's son, with fire in his heart and steel in his voice, could show them the way to freedom.